I hope you're hungry, because after you see this data, you're gonna be begging for some sloppy seconds. It hurts when I squirts. Is Bitcoin actually way outperforming the infamous S2F model? And if so, what does it mean for Bitcoin throughout the rest of 2021? Will we have to now adjust our price predictions, and how much are we overshooting the model as of right now? But the question you all want to know is this Bitcoin bounce the real deal, or will we be left humiliated, naked, and afraid? Yeah, sounds like high school all over again. I'm your host, Samuel Squeaks, and on this channel we put the rump in rumpage, the blast in blast off, and the squeal in huge. So today we're going to be following along with Bitcoin's price as some very, very interesting developments have gone in over the last 24 hours. And even more importantly, the true trajectory of Bitcoin throughout this year when we really zoom out, because that's more important. Honestly, whatever happens over the next few weeks is it's interesting, but the real story going on is going to be playing out over the next few months with Bitcoin. And guys, let me just tell you, we are nowhere near what I'm expecting for an alt season and alt run this year. We have literally not even gotten the smallest little taste. And at this point, I'm very underwhelmed with alt performance, and I do expect an absolute star-studded performance towards the summer of this year, but we are going to be getting a taste of that, in my opinion, a little bit sooner as well. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure to hit that like, subscribe, and turn on those post notifications if you want updated when we post these absolute jaw-dropping, life-changing updates, time-sensitive updates as soon as we do. And without any further splodoosh, let's jump in. I spy with my little eye a bunch of savages with portfolios going to the sky. Wow, guys, so if we start off here with the Bitcoin stock-to-flow ratio, as you can see here, we are absolutely in essentially blast-off mode. And according to this article here, we are actually kind of overshooting this. And according to this article posted by Joseph Young here, are we actually en route to 200,000, which again is within the very conservative price prediction of the S2F, or the stock to flow anyway. So that's already part of it anyway. It's between like 100K to 288K, I believe, is what the exact targets are. But Bitcoin closed February 26% above the stock to flow. Now, why is this significant? Safdien Amos, renowned author of the Bitcoin Standard, emphasized that Bitcoin has rarely diverged from the S2F model since it was created well over 2 years ago. Bitcoin has never diverged more than one standard deviation from the model's predicted price. But what exactly is happening now? And as I'm sure you already know, the S2F model predicts between 100 to 288,000 by the end of this year. So basically the lowest prediction for Bitcoin according to this model, which, let's be honest, has been accurate up until this point. If we rewind a few months ago, even just a few months ago, before a lot of new faces joined, right? We have to also realize just how many new people have joined in just the last 2 months. In the year 2021, so many new people have joined. And if we just go back even 2 or 3 months ago, there were a lot of people really saying that this Plan B stock to flow model was absolute baloney. People were getting frustrated. They were saying, well, why are we not following this model? Bitcoin is in no way performing as it should. And that was, again, background this. So I guess it was a little over 3 months ago, maybe like 4 or 5 months ago. And then, as you know, Bitcoin then did this. It just went straight up. So a lot of people were getting concerned. They were saying, okay, well, what in good golly is going on? Why are we not going up? Okay, people were getting impatient, but like clockwork, it did eventually completely go back on track. And as we're going to explain, it actually currently overshooting what the S2F model actually says. And now just looking at this stock to flow ratio here, basically what the colors represent here is just the time until the next halving. So it really just gives you a good idea, especially when you want to compare this cycle to, let's say, the last cycle, to what it did as it approached its next halving. So we just had our halving less than a year ago, roughly about 10 months ago. And people were getting concerned because we had that halving back in May of 2020, and we didn't go up. People were getting really frustrated because there was so much hype about this halving. People were so excited. Bitcoin has only been going down since 2018, since January of 2018. And people were saying, well, come on, we've been waiting this entire time. Why isn't it going up? Okay, well, maybe it'll go up when we have the halving. And then we had the halving and it didn't go up. So people were getting extremely frustrated. But then you fast forward a few months, again, it never really goes up exactly at the halving. You can look back at the last halving before the one in May of 2020, the one back in July of 2016. As you can see, guys, after the halving, it went down. It didn't go up, it went down. But you fast forward, 6 to 8 months, and then it started exploding. Same exact thing here. And then when we got to about October, November, and December of 2020, things really started to pick up, and that is when the real excitement started. Now you can see, compared to where we were last time, when we first kind of entered this light green territory, we were pretty below this deviation, or this center line here, the stock to flow ratio. We were actually a little bit below it. But as you can see now, we're actually now entering this pretty solid green level. And you can see for the past few months, not only are we on this line, we're actually a little bit above it. So Bitcoin seems to be actually outperforming this model. And if you look at these trends, let's actually just even pull out, if we just pull out the cycle prior to this, you can see when we were in the green, we were very much above this stock to flow. And then you saw in 2016 and 2017, we were actually significantly below it. And then if you could extrapolate just from those two other cycles, okay, maybe there's a trend here. Maybe we're going to start underperforming this. Well, that was blown out of the water over the last few months because now we're not underperforming. In fact, we're outperforming. And according to Willy Hu, a prominent on-chain analyst, Bitcoin's monetary velocity is higher than the US dollar, right? Looking at the M1 money stock, it simply means that Bitcoin is moving more value than the amount used for spending with the US dollar, which is to me, that's very impressive. What this indicates is that Bitcoin is being actively used as a means to transfer value and store value simultaneously. And now this is the big takeaway here. Currently, I'm sure you're all aware, the big use case for Bitcoin is being used as a store of value, comparing it to gold. And people that really hate Bitcoin will say, well, Bitcoin's too volatile, it can't be used as a currency. But guys, we have to also factor into the picture here that Bitcoin can be that store of value. And if it succeeds as a store of value, what that also makes more likely to happen is the ability for it to, again, be a good currency and a means of payment. So if Bitcoin succeeds on one end as just being a store of value, which at this point it is succeeding very, very, very well at, if it actually continues succeeding like that, then it doesn't guarantee, but it increases the chances that also being used as a currency will be another outlook for Bitcoin, another thing that Bitcoin can do. And to sum that up in a sentence, if Bitcoin can succeed as one thing, the best use case, in my opinion, and I think everyone's opinion at this point, as a store of value, if it succeeds as that bolsters its chances of succeeding at everything else that it's aiming to do. To me, a really good analogy is this, right? When you're poor, when you have no money, if you have bad credit, it's very hard to get anything. But then the richer you become, the more free stuff you get from everyone. The more money you have, the more other people want to just give you free things, whether it's because they want a favor from you or they want a sponsorship or any of these things. Basically, nobody wants anything to do with you when you're poor. But as soon as you start making money, all of a sudden, people are just throwing free stuff at you. Even though you have money and you can now pay for those things, it doesn't matter. If you have the money, people just want to give you free stuff. And if you're poor, nobody wants to give you anything. And I think that's just a really good analogy, because if Bitcoin succeeds as one thing, it just makes all of these other things, whether it's a means of payment, settlement layer, whatever, if Bitcoin starts succeeding and truly proving itself as one thing, guys, that's just going to give everybody, especially institutions and billionaires, more confidence in Bitcoin, like we're seeing. We're already seeing this. This is not even made up. This is already happening anyway. It's just going to give Bitcoin more and more confidence, and people are going to start looking to Bitcoin to do other things as well. And it just bolsters Bitcoin up there. So the more it succeeds, the more people pay attention to it, and then it's just a very vicious cycle in a good way. It just keeps succeeding even more. And as well, before we jump into the TA, I think this is very interesting. So a lot of people look at Bitcoin and they think, well, Bitcoin's not as decentralized as you think it is because so much of the mining takes place in China. And now this is a pretty big story, I think. So Bitcoin mining consumes an estimated 128 terawatt hour per year of energy, meaning Bitcoin, again, Bitcoin mining is global, but Bitcoin mining globally uses more energy than countries like Ukraine or Argentina. And China accounts for 65% of all Bitcoin mining in the entire world. So China does have a monopoly on Bitcoin mining. And China controls about 65%. There's only about 7% of the mining power here in the United States. But this news just came out. China's actually shutting down about 8% of its mining in Mongolia this year, within the next by April 2021. So basically within the next month. So we're actually seeing China crack down a little bit because they're saying, hey, this is using too much energy. And I just think it's very interesting because it's going to kind of just open up other places of the world to, maybe take another leap and just take more of that mining power away. I personally think it would be better if Bitcoin was as decentralized mining-wise as possible. If, maybe every country in the world eventually contributed 1 to 2% of the mining instead of having giant chunks in China and other countries. But for the most part, it's very heavily concentrated in China. And as we mentioned yesterday, guys, Bitcoin did get rejected. Everything we said in yesterday's video happened within the last 24 hours, so there was no need to do a follow-up update. Basically, we said at this current level, if Bitcoin gets rejected here, that's most likely, and don't get too excited. And then it didn't go any higher than when we made the video yesterday. It just pretty much went down since yesterday. But on the shorter term time frames, again, we're just still battling some very short-term moving averages. Yet again, we've fallen below the 21 on this 1 hour, and now we're testing the 50. If we go to the 4 hour, we're kind of just trying to hold above this 50 on the 4 hour chart. We got rejected at a key fib level of about $50,000 US even, the 1.618. I do think it is interesting. Maybe we are potentially forming a speculative falling wedge, which could be considered a bullish pattern. It looks as though we already started breaking out of this pattern, but you see us get rejected. So the thing I'm really, really looking for over the next maybe 2 to 3 days is to see if we truly get that relief rally that could lead us all the way up to about $56,000 US. And guys, this is a really important part of the video in terms of price targets, because we could actually hit that $56,000 level and end up over the next week even going lower than we have so far. So that's the main takeaway I want to have of this, is that we could potentially still be in a relief rally and get rejected. That is a scenario that I'm really looking for, but I ideally actually want us to just, if we're going to go down sooner than later, because again, if we have this relief rally to even all the way up to maybe 56 and then get rejected, imagine the sentiment in the market if that would happen. People would just be soiling themselves left and right. It would be an absolute travesty. If we go to this 6 hour chart, absolute travesty, but an absolutely beautiful buying opportunity, and that is where the big money is made. And as well, here on this 6 hour chart, again, we got rejected at when we came up to this 50 on the 6 hour chart, and now we're just coming back down to the next one. So in the short term, we've just gotten a slight rejection, and you can see that clearly here. So you can see that clearly here. The really big takeaway is, as we mentioned, if we get a close above the 21 day, that would be pretty bullish, and we could not have gotten closer but still failed. Meaning we got as close as we possibly could have to breaking above that 21 day, but failed it. Meaning we didn't do it. We did not get that close we were looking for, and literally less than 0.5% would have gotten us there, but we didn't get that. We didn't get the close there. You can see, I remember watching it last night when we got that close. As soon as we got the close, we pumped a little bit, but you see, I mean, we just got a rejection afterwards. So it's going to be very interesting to see here. We're seeing this EMA ribbon kind of cross as well, which could indicate more bearishness. And as I've been saying for the past over a week now, this trend is still down in my opinion, and there's nothing to confirm that we're not yet out of this downtrend. Ethereum is now testing its 50-day moving average, which I like, because now we're actually above the 50-day for the first time in about a week, which is good. I'm happy about that. And then we just have some top altcoins. The one thing I'm really looking for as well, ADA is in a very, very critical spot. It's actually on the verge of potentially breaking its parabolic structure. Okay, let's go all the way back to November. We had a parabolic touch here and bounce, really good for ADA. Parabolic touch here, we completed it, very good. Confirmation, bounced here. Same thing, parabolic touch, or a touch on the parabolic line here. We held that, very good, and that enabled us to continue pumping. And recently we kind of had that same touch here, but this is so far the weakest bounce of the entire last 4 months. So that's a little concerning to me, and it's already gone up so much that I'm starting to fear that this may be getting a little bit weak at this point. And you can see we just had a touch on this parabolic line just a week ago, and we're already coming back to touch it, which we haven't done in the last 4 months. It's always been a pretty strong bounce afterwards. So now we really need to be careful. We're right on the edge of this, and if we fail, then yeah, it's possible we break this parabolic structure and ADA enters more of a correction. Now, is that bad? Absolutely not. In the last 4 months, ADA has done absolutely insane in terms of price performance. Is that actually correct? That's absolutely wild. Let me take a look at this. So just in November of 2020 to now, up almost 1,500%. So to say ADA has been outperforming price predictions is an understatement. It's been doing absolutely amazingly, and to expect a pullback at this point is more than warranted, is more than healthy. This thing has just gone straight up for so long. We have to be careful. It could still pump here, but if we break back down below $1.15, and specifically if we break $1, look out below, because this thing is probably going to initiate a correction. So guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that like, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. If you're interested in trading, make sure to take advantage of our Bybit and Femex deposit bonuses below. Never trade more than you're willing to lose, and only trade if you have experience just regular spot trading. Don't use leverage if you've never traded before. And also good news, we have the paperwork signed and everything, so everything's looking good over the next month to really start transitioning to that new studio and change up in content. So ideally, I think the time frame we're looking at now is actually the first 2 weeks of April. So about a month away, a little over a month. And yeah, I've been saying that for a few months now, but there were some delays. There were some things that were slowing that down, but everything looks at this point like it's on track. And yeah, very exciting. Without any further ado, see you in the next one. Bye!